Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I'm Wing Supernova, and it's been another hiatus over the holidays in the first couple weeks here of January. But I'm back. I'm recording this on January 12th. This will probably go up either the same day or a day after. But I am alive, and I plan on making this an every other day upload, just like it was when it started, from here on out. And no more breaks. I'm going to find time every week to record 3 to 4 hours worth of stuff, depending on the schedule, of course. And at the end of the episode, we'll talk more about the future of the channel, and what else I'm going to be playing in the future. But for now, let's just get right back into this. The last episode, we finished off getting these three jurors, juror 2, 3, and 6. We got them to change their verdict to not guilty, and now we just need one more. I'm surprised she didn't. And I believe their statements are the same. Do I want to pit this person because he says we're the ones who decide if the evidence is worthy of consideration or not, us, the jury? Do I want to pit that against him? I don't know if I can. Can I? Okay, no, I can only pit the 3 that have their verdicts as guilty. Well, let's just go ahead and press. I think we've already done this. All the evidence, you say? That's right, and there's no room for doubt. It's all pointing at that Japanese man with the big mustache. Says the Englishman with the bigger mustache. But the defense just demonstrated another possible explanation for the events on the night in question. What do you make of that? What? Your so-called skin prints? It's an exciting new forensic investigation technique, developed by the great detective himself. The numerous handprints on the wall are clearly out of the ordinary. And if Mr. Shamspeare had indeed put his mouth to the gas pipe on the night in question, it can't be denied that there's a possibility that's where the poison was. Well, yes, I won't deny that it's playing on my mind. But as the prosecution rightly says, we should pay no heed to unacceptable forms of evidence. And besides... Yes? Even if the fellow has been up to some mischief with the gas pipe dozens of times before, it doesn't mean he got up to the same shenanigans on the night in question, does it? Oh. If you can't make your case better than that, I'm afraid I can't change my stance. You do make a very valid point, sir. What? That's true. Perhaps I was a little hasty. No, wait! Look, you've got your chance here, haven't you? So it's time to prove your theory. If you and your Japanese cohorts can, that is. Just leave our nationality out of this, please. Mr. Naruhodo, if we can't substantiate our position, I'm afraid the jurors that changed their minds before may very well change them back. What can I do? Is there any more proof I can give here? Can I show that Mr. Shamspeare really did blow down the gas pipe on the night in question? Ooh, I can present evidence or I have supporting testimony. This is not good. Specifically because it's been a while since I played this and I don't remember testimony. Let me check the court record. I don't think we have evidence. So that's the book receipt. That doesn't tell us anything about that. That doesn't matter, I don't believe. The bar of soap. No, I don't think so. I don't think that tells you anything. It looks like it was glued, right? Whoever opened this envelope didn't bother with a letter opener or scissors, did they? Yes, whoever opened it was clearly someone with an unrefined temperament. And judging from the angle of the rip here, the person in question must have been right-handed. Miss Susato, I think perhaps someone's been reading too much of the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. You can never read too much of it, Mr. Naruhodo, never. Okay, I believe we've already read that. For some reason, it hadn't been checked off, though. We know where the rest of the envelope was located. It was, I believe it was with Miss Green, which was odd. Does this show us anything? Proving that it was on the night in question? I don't know. Small quantity of strychnine, 30 minutes after ingestion. No sample could be maintained for testing. "1:30 a.m. I don't think that does anything. That doesn't do anything. Does this do anything that can prove it was on the night in question? No. I don't believe it does. Unless there's like a detail in this photo that I haven't seen yet. I don't think I can present evidence. I think I have to prove it. So I'm going to go ahead and say testimony and see where it takes me. No, in truth, I don't have any evidence to support my theory. However, there is witness testimony that substantiates it. What's that? Testimony? This is incredible! Whose testimony? Yes, it's all connected. Everything is linked. A person whose testimony revealed details about the gas in the Garrideb residence that night, namely... Are we going to say it was... this guy? Well, first I'm gonna save. Yeah, just save over the same thing again. I'm not the kind that makes, like, multiple save slots. It's either her or him. I'm gonna go ahead and say him. Well, Mr. Foreman, does that convince... No, this is Ron. Whew, I don't think he was listening. Rest assured, Counsel, I shan't let nonsensical answers go without penalty. Ugh, I thought I got away with it. A witness who spoke about the gas on the night in question. Yes, there was someone. That's what I thought, too, but I obviously chose the wrong person. Yep, see, this is what I was expecting. So, not Pitt, press. I gotta skip through this. Boop, 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 boop. So, at least they told me I was right by picking testimony. Man, you have to go through a lot of this. I decided not to reload because I feel like I should take the penalty for, you know, just not playing this game for a while. So it's gotta be Juror 4, right? I forget what her name was. Boop, 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 boop. That's a lot of text. Maybe I should have just loaded. Yes, supporting testimony. Okay. It's gotta be this person, right? Oh, okay. Apparently not. Okay, I'm glad I didn't load then. We will try again. So here we go. I don't remember who's... We haven't had testimony for very many people, have we? A person whose testimony revealed details about the gas in the Garrideb residence that night. I'm trying to remember everyone who spoke about it. He did, right? I know there's only so many people, right? It's got to be one of these four now. I don't believe he's been on the stand, but he did tell us about the gas that night. Because he was watching it, right? To see, like, who turned it on and turned it off and various other things. We'll just present Soseki first. Okay, it's Soseki. Obviously, I'm talking about the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume himself. The defendant? At the very beginning of the proceedings here in court yesterday, Mr. Natsume said the following. At the very beginning of the proceedings yesterday. So this was a callback all the way to the beginning of the case itself, because this is the second day, I believe. My lodgings! There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings! Even on that fateful night it happened, when I returned from Mr. Shakespeare's room. I lit my gas stove and climbed into bed, but before long, the stove went out, and somebody tried to kill me! On the night in question, the gas in the defendant's room went out, so I asked the court, was that a mere coincidence, or not? Good golly! That's not the right voice. So that Shakespeare fellow blew air into the gas pipe to make the man's stove go out on purpose? Ah, okay, I see where this was going. Now hold your horses there, what would he do that for? Uh-oh. Mr. Foreman. What is it, man? We cannot allow judgment to be passed whilst this doubt remains. It's true that I don't have conclusive evidence yet. However, you must surely agree there is more to this case than meets the eye. Ah! Fair enough. Like I said at the outset, I'm a man of logic, first and foremost. And the trial shall continue. That's 4 jurors leaning towards not guilty might overturn the decision. Therefore, the defense calls for the trial to continue. As the defense has rightfully indicated, the summation examination has concluded with a majority of jurors altering their decisions. 2 jury members now call guilty. 4 now call not guilty. Therefore, the jury's opinion is conflicted and, in accordance with the law of this land, I hereby order the continuation of this trial. Once again, we pull it out. Mr. William Shakespeare. My lord, how can thy humble Shakespeare serve thee? What say you in response to the various revelations made during the summation examination? So God mend me, I do solemnly swear. I recall aught of either the lamp or the pipe. But your handprints have been made a tidy mess all over the wall there. How do you explain that, eh? Fucking gallery abuse. I am done with this. The dignity of this great courtroom has been sullied enough already. Juror number 5. Who, me? As I went to some pains to point out already, a print from the self-professed detective's toy has no place in a British court of law. Ah! As such, whether or not this man did indeed stand before the gas lamp with his hands against the wall, remains, at this time, unestablished conjecture. You would all do well to remember that. Ah! Objection! Oh, we're back over here now. But the prosecution must conclude that it would be extremely simple to verify. Oh, concede. Just order the mouth of the gas pipe feeding that lamp in Mr. Shakespeare's room to be examined. If there are traces of poison there... Ooh. We got a newsprint objection from him. What appears to be extremely simple is my Nipponese friend's mind. You will recall that in order to check for the presence of poison in the tea, some remnants of tea were required. Yes. Therefore, it shouldn't be beyond your wit to imagine that even if poison were to be spread on the pipe, it would have completely evaporated by now, making any analysis impossible. Ah! I didn't think of that. In any case, counsel, I fail to see what could possibly have motivated the man to do as you describe. Why on earth would this fellow have wanted to blow air into the gas pipework where he lived? Because he wanted something in that room. Because that room was... the man... There's only one possibility that I can think of, and that is... to use the leaking gas to commit murder. Yeah, I'm jumping ahead a bit, but... I think he did want him out of the room because he wanted that room, right? Order, order, counsel! Precisely whose life do you propose this man was plotting to end? Really? That's the question you're going to ask? The answer couldn't be simpler. No, now we've unraveled the mystery this far. Mr. Shamspear wanted to end the life of Soseki Natsume. I don't even need to save on that one. If a gas lamp were to go out, it would be noticed immediately, of course. But a gas stove, on the other hand, could be silently extinguished by the killer without anyone noticing. I live around those parts myself, so I know what it's like. I can tell you, trying to sleep without the stove lit is pretty much suicide. You'd freeze to death in no time. Mr. Garadeb, the landlord, has a large fireplace in his part of the residence on the top floor. In other words, it wasn't the landlord, but a fellow lodger whose life Mr. Shamspear was trying to end. Outrageous! I'm talking, of course, about the defendant. Mr. Natsume isn't the villain in this case. He's the victim this man was trying to murder. Good gracious!
Objection!
Oh boy. Not gonna take that lightly. The accused is actually the aggrieved. Interesting. However, the fundamental facts of the case remain unchanged. Namely, that the accused is the aggressor here. What? How can you still claim that? Let us indulge your fancies for a moment and assume that there was indeed poison on the mouth of the gas pipe. The question then that arises is who put it there? Who did put it there? The only logical conclusion is that the person responsible was aware of this man's trickery with the gas supply and his intent to kill. Yes, that would indeed seem logical. If the assailant were unaware, how would he or she have known to lace the end of the gas pipe with poison? So now we must ask, how could anyone have known of Mr. Shamspear's murderous designs? Ah, you mean to suggest... Naturally, the sole possible answer to that question couldn't be more obvious. Only the man whose life was being threatened could possibly have known. What? In other words, the person who put the poison on the gas pipe in what was a clear retaliatory attack. I like that. I like the alliteration there. Retaliatory attack. That's great. Can only have been the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume. I like this approach by the prosecution. Whatever Mr. William Shamspear may or may not have contrived to do, he was nevertheless the victim of a potentially lethal poison attack. However, we can probably prove that there were multiple other people who had access to that pipe. Namely, court record, people, namely this guy. I mean, he's the gas meter man, I guess. Adron B. Meter Man. Yeah. Quinby. Adron B. I wonder if that's like a reference. Oh, Queen B. Okay. Queen B. Aderon B. I can't make sense of the Aderon portion of it. I don't know. I guess I don't know enough about bees. We gotta bring Duncan Ross into this somewhere, though. And Duncan Ross will indeed leave a connection to Olive Green. Because, I feel like... This is interesting. I feel like she is the one who put the poison on there to try and kill Shamspear, because she figured out that Shamspear killed Green. Right? She figured that out. That's why she was walking down that street at that time. Because she was going to that building to place the poison on Shamspear's shit. But then she wouldn't have had... Then she wouldn't have had the opportunity to do it because she would have been in the hospital, right? Comatose for days. I wonder how we're going to be able to prove that if that's the case. The other option is it's the meter men, but I feel like the olive green approach would be more interesting if that makes any sense. Ooh, stanced up, huh? The defense counsel's theorizing has failed to avert suspicion from the accused. Far from it. In fact, now that a clear motive for the poisoning has been successfully established, that suspicion is greater than ever. Would you not agree, my Nipponese friend? Ah! This may be bad among the jurors. How did he manage to turn that around on me so rapidly? Mr. Naruhodo, you must respond. Otherwise, the members of the jury may very well change their leanings against us again. And this may be our last chance to gain the advantage. Pull myself up here. What advantage? That's the wrong voice. What advantage? Well, it would seem that somebody put poison on the gas pipe in Mr. Shamspeare's room. So we must name that person now and absolve Mr. Natsume of guilt. You mean, name the true culprit? I know it might sound impossible, but if we fail to do that, I have no doubt that Mr. Natsume's fate will be sealed once and for all. As it happens, one possible culprit does come to mind. The evidence, the poison. It's all pointing to a particular person now. Oh, we're pointing out the poison. She did have poison. That's right. We're going to name Olive Green now? Holy shit. The prosecution calls for the jury to consider their leanings again. I trust you'll make the correct choice this time, Mr. Foreman. What? Oh, don't you worry. We know exactly what... Gong. Gong. I love Ace Attorney, man. It's so overly dramatic. There is one person who I believe could have been involved in all of this. The true culprit of this crime. The true culprit? A term found only in second-rate novels featuring third-rate great detectives, my Nipponese friend. But why not? This farce has gone on for so long already, I see no reason to cut it short before its disappointing climax. Thank you. Tell us, my learned Nipponese friend, what is your latest theory? Who is the so-called true culprit of this crime? I'm going to save, but we don't have the evidence in our inventory is why I was confused. Because she had the letter, right? I mean, the letter pins her to the scene of the crime. But we don't have the letter, the other part of the letter in the inventory. And we also don't have any real solid evidence proving that she even could get there because she was in the hospital. But we'll see. I think it's Olive Green. The name of the person responsible for the poison that afflicted Mr. Shamspeare is, I believe, Miss Olive Green. Miss Olive Green? Miss Olive Green. I do feel as though I've heard that name in the recent past, Counsel, but I don't recall where. Miss Olive Green? The woman from 6 days ago. The victim in the recent case of stabbing on Briar Road. An incident for which Mr. Natsume was arrested, I hasten to add. Oh, of course, yes, Miss Green. She was left comatose for some 3 days, I believe, but I hear she regained consciousness 2 days ago. And I hardly need remind the court that Mr. Shamspeare's poisoning took place 3 days ago. Given that the woman was lying comatose in a hospital bed at the time, she appears to have a rather fine alibi. True, on the night that the incident occurred, Miss Green was in hospital, unconscious. So on the face of it, it would seem that she couldn't possibly be responsible, but still, what if she woke up early? remembered what happened and was like, now's my chance, they think I'm comatose. Snuck out. Did the deed. Came back, went to sleep, and then woke up in the morning, and they were like, oh, you regained consciousness. I mean, that's the only possibility, right? My colleagues and I visited Miss Green in hospital yesterday, and we found her to be in possession of a bottle of poison. Good gracious! She had poison? And there is another fact that links Miss Green to this case as well. The defense requests that she be brought to the witness stand in order to explain the details to the court. Tell me, Mr. Shamspeare. My lord, pray, what be thy bidding? Are you acquainted with Miss Green? No, never heard of her. Ah. A little stuttering there, huh? Judging by the look on Mr. Shamspeare's face, I think perhaps he genuinely doesn't know her. At least, not by name. I think that's true as well. As the voice of Her Majesty's prosecution here, I adhere to my word. We will see my learned Nipponese friend's farce through to its conclusion. It's weird for him to acquiesce like this. It's like he wants to beat us soundly and completely, and in doing so, he's allowing us to get away with shit where he could go, this is stupid. I'm not going to allow it, and then just, you know, the trial would be over. I mean, he has that power right now. He has all the leverage, but he's not doing it for some reason. And I think it might be connected to the overall nature of this case, but it could also just be a personality thing of his, like a lot of prosecutors are in the series. They're profoundly confident. But, yeah, we'll see. I mean, this game's still got 3 more cases left, so, yeah, definitely we'll see. I appreciate that. The prosecution requests a short recess, my lord, in order to subpoena. I always mispronounce that word the first time. Subpoena? I'm dumb, okay? The witness and bring her here. Yes, Miss Olive Green. Indeed, my lord. 1 hour should be sufficient. Very well, I grant the request. Excellent, I hope. The defense has made a most extraordinary accusation, I must say. But at the present time, I feel the prosecution's argument remains largely uncontested. Accordingly, I'm afraid the defendant and his culpability remain the sole subject of this court's attention. Thank you, counsels. We reconvene in 1 hour. Court is adjourned. Well, that's not going to be the end of this episode, because it's going to be an hour long! Yay! And we're only 28 minutes in. So, we'll continue through the recess. We get a save point, though, which is nice. Take a nice little drink, and on we go. Oh boy, who's going to be waiting for us here in the defendant lobby? Mr. Sholmes? No, just not to me. Joyful, jubilant, jumping jacks! Oh, Mr. Natsume. I'm so pleased for you. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire and non-locum judicial assistant Miss Mikotoba Esquiress. Now, finally, at long last, there could be proof. Proof that I'm innocent and proof that my tea is innocent. There he is. Ah, good morning, my dear fellows. Ah! Hairlock Sholmes! May you drink my tepid tea and fall forever silent! I thought you said it was okay. I thought the tea was innocent. Yeah. Oh, boy. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you came. How wonderful. Please, save your derision. I know what you're all thinking. Good morning, he says, when it's very nearly time for luncheon. Your scorn is written clearly across your faces. Nobody said or thought anything of the sort. The truth is, I was determined that today would be the day. As sleep seduced me last night, I thought, tomorrow, for once, I shall not oversleep. I'll rise early and be present in court to support my companions. Such spirited determination has a beauty all of its own, does it not? Oh, yes! And then I began to muse on the subject. Why do people oversleep, I queried. Why, time after time, do they make the same foolish blunder? And the answer came to me all at once. It's so delightfully simple. People oversleep. Because they sleep! Well, is that not an astute insight into the matter? Oh, yes. Upon which realization I attempted an experiment. I didn't sleep a wink all night. And the results? By first light, I was exhausted, and began to be assailed by fits of drowsiness. Shocking. And so, the conclusion of last night's experiment is this. A good night's sleep is quite simply essential. Yes, I think most of us probably knew that already. What others presuppose I prove by experimentation. That, my dear fellow, is the scientific method. Ah, yes, and one more thing. Do you remember this? Ah! Yes, of course, it's the poison that Miss Green was about to drink at the hospital yesterday. Oh, you didn't manage to... It was a laborious task, as the bottle was near empty, but such inconveniences do not hinder Sholmes. I managed to confirm that it contained strychnine. So I was right. Perhaps, though of course such circumstantial evidence doesn't prove Miss Green's guilt. I shall leave the bottle in your care now, but licking the inside of the neck is not recommended. I'd assume so. Who? Ah, could I have a word? Ah, okay. Gregson, how good of you to come! Forget it. Excuse me. Wait a minute, Inspector. He comes back with chips! I, don't wish to make a nuisance of myself. From the look on your face, I'd say it's someone else who you think is making a nuisance of himself. My dear Inspector, please, speak freely. Pretend that I'm not here. Believe me, if I could do that, life would be a whole lot simpler for me. Do you have the results, Inspector, of the investigation of Mr. Shamspeare's room? Not yet. Shouldn't be long now, though. No, I'm here about something else. That dead convict, actually. Oh, you mean the man from this newspaper article we discovered yesterday in Mr. Shamspeare's room? A man by the name of... Ah, yes, Selden. I went through the archives at the yard and dug out the fellow's file. There's something in there that... well, it caught my eye. Something caught your eye? What, Inspector, what? That was a weird voice. I've copied out the relevant parts for you, so you can read it for yourselves. Thank you. I'm actually surprised that we're allowed to read this. I was expecting this to be, like, the chief thing that made this case, like, shrouded in mystery and, like, government secrets again and all that shit from the first game. Capital offender's file added into the court records. Let's check them. Alright. Investigative findings related to Selden. 18 counts of burglary, 6 counts of suspected murder. Damn, this man is a serial killer. Died of natural causes whilst in prison. His final moments witnessed only by his cellmate. We don't know who that was. The estimated 1,000 pounds worth of loot he stole remains unrecovered. That was a lot back then, I'm assuming. Manchester Strangeways Prison announced the death of convicted murderer and burglar Selden by natural causes in... That's weird. In the early hours this morning. He had been suffering with fever, since the end of October. Alerted by the shouts of his fellow cellmate, medical staff arrived to find him already dead before his capital punishment could be carried out. And it's not dated, so we don't know how long he had been suffering with the fever before he died. I'm not sure how that helps us, but we'll see. These documents include the details that were in the newspaper cutting we found in Mr. Shamspeare's room. I'll rearrange everything in the court record so we don't have duplicate information. Oh, why thank you. Did she do it? She did do it. Okay, so she removed that and added this. Okay, so yeah. She just removed that from our court record. Why are you giving us a copy of this important file, though?
Well, you're the ones who turned up the clue in the first place, aren't you? I'm just making sure things get handled in the proper fashion.
Oh, Scotland Yard's workings are so wonderful.
Indeed, my dear fellows, and this inspector here has a shining diamond in its crown.
A shining diamond? In the rough, maybe.
Look, I just don't want to be beholden to a lawyer, that's all.
Alright, see ya, Gregsy.
Counsel for the defense and the defendant.
Court proceedings are about to resume. Make your way into the courtroom at once. That is the quickest hour I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I shall leave you then. I'll be listening with interest from the public gallery. Not nodding off at all. Certainly not.
That's the wrong voice again. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes.
I'm rather tired of seeing Mr. Moustache in floods of tears, personally. So, the best of luck to you. Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire!
Yes, Mr. Natsume?
It's time, isn't it?
Yes, this is it. Miss Olive Green and Mr. William Shamspeare. This is going to be the final battle. I won't really have saved Soseki-san until I've exposed the whole truth of everything that's been going on. But it's all coming to a head now. You can do it, Ryunosuke. You have to. I didn't make this connection until now. But Soseki is really like the Maya of the Great Ace Attorney. Not in terms of like being our partner or anything. That would be Susato, of course. In terms of being accused of murder repeatedly over and over. He's been accused 3 times now. Well, attempted murder for 2 of them, but still. Alright, Miss Olive Green. Let's see what you have to say about yourself. I just noticed that old man has a green coat on it too and has a similar build, so maybe they're related? That would be weird. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again now. Before the recess, we heard a most startling accusation from the defense. Namely, that the victim of the case we heard here only a few days ago was the true perpetrator of this incident. A reckless, rash, and prejudiced charge of wrongdoing in my opinion, my lord. However, the prosecution has tried to extend every courtesy to this amateur newcomer from dubious eastern shores. Thank you for that backhanded consideration. A rather cold assessment from the honorable British prosecutor, I must say. So, Lord Van Zieks, is the new witness present and ready to take the stand? Ready and waiting in the witness's antechamber, my lord. Very well. Bailiff, bring the witnesses in. Damn, she painting on the stand? Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court, please. William Shamspeare, my liege. For mine occupation, I can say only that I be a tragic victim, to be pitied. Currently unemployed, in other words. I don't remember what voice I gave you. I'm Olive Green. No, that's a little bit too bad. That's a little bit too close to other voices. I'm Olive Green. I'm a fledgling artist. Well, no. Not a fledgling, really. A hopeless failure who's too weak-spirited to admit she has no talent, I suppose. Also currently unemployed, in other words. What a coterie. I actually don't know what that word means. Mr. Shamspeare. My lord, I am thy humble servant. I'm afraid that you are no longer merely the victim in this affair. The possibility has been raised that you are in fact the assailant, intent on taking the life of your fellow lodger. The part you have played in this whole business will be thoroughly scrutinized, I assure you. I would, for naught else, my lord. And Miss Green? Yes. I don't like that voice. Oh, man. Hold on. I gotta think really quick. You are aware of the reason you have been summoned to this courtroom today, I presume? Yes, the
officer did explain. He said I poisoned this ridiculous buffoon. I think that's a little bit better. And do you accept the charge, Miss Green? I don't know anything about any poisoning. And I don't know anything about this man. Come, lady, die to live. Verily, I know not thy prickly pea-pigmented personage.
Very well, let us proceed with the matter at hand. That being to ascertain whether or not Miss Green has any involvement in this affair.
It's all very strange indeed. Why would you suspect me? I barely ever go to the East End anyway. It so happens that I passed by that neighborhood 6 days ago, that's all. And on the night that this man was poisoned, I was still in hospital, fighting for my life. Yes, having been unfortunately caught up in the incident on the street outside the Garrett household. An incident that rendered you unconscious for some 3 days. I was struck in the middle of my back by a knife, through no fault of my own, and now I'm under suspicion? What other irrelevant things might I be suspected of? It's all very disturbing.
Your energies may be better spent worrying about random knife attacks, I feel, Miss Green. At this point in time, all that appears to connect you with Mr. Shamspeare's lodgings is the Briar Road incident of 6 days ago. That's why we would like you to testify formally now about exactly what happened.
Oh no! The incident 6 days ago? You mean you want me to relive that awful incident?
Unfortunately, yes. Please tell the court what happened that day. And of course, we will be interested to hear from you about your movements that day too, Mr. Shamspeare.
But what happened 6 days ago was nothing to do with me being poisoned.
We think it does. Especially if you were out and she saw you out. Because that would have been like, oh, a window of opportunity. I can sneak in and poison his fucking shit. Let us proceed then. The witnesses will present their formal testimony to the court on the subject of the incident that took place on Briar Road the evening of the 17th of February. Interesting. Alright, what do we got here?
It was 6 days ago, at about 5 p.m. I was walking along in the snow when I was suddenly stabbed in the back. Coincidentally, it happened to be just outside the house where the men in this case have their lodgings. I was at the tavern on the eve of which thou speakst, for I had bespoke my supper. It was the first time I'd been in the area. I had a little matter to attend to, that's all. Anyway, I was admitted straight to hospital, so I knew nothing about all of this business.
I don't think we can prove that she had knowledge of the business here. At least not now. Yes, the second incident inside a week at what I believe to be aptly described as the haunted lodgings. One can only presume this is a most unfortunate coincidence. Meanwhile, you say you were not in your room, Mr. Shamspeare.
'Twas the following morn when I did awaken that I learned of the dire events. Marry, what a commotion did the officers of the law make on the floor above mine!
When Soseki-san was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. As suspected, there is nothing connecting these two witnesses but happenstance. It's true, it does seem as though they're unrelated at first glance, but I'm not so sure. There's something lurking in the shadows here. I feel certain of it. And this is my one and only chance to expose it. It's gonna be tough. Counsel, you may now cross-examine these two witnesses if you wish. Yes, my lord. Okay. Gonna be an interesting cross-examination here. Lots of pressing, because there were no openings from what I saw. I don't have... might as well. I was going to say I don't have a problem with that, but I'll press it anyway. I'm well acquainted with the case. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
It was awful. I still can't believe I was unconscious for so long. And I woke up to find out that the case had been solved and the culprit arrested.
Yes, the incident has been resolved already. Perhaps it would help you to consider it a bad dream that ended with your awakening, and should now be forgotten.
Yes, I suppose so. Thank you.
But before you put it completely behind you, Miss Green, I need you to remember the details one last time. You must tell the court exactly what happened that day for us to arrive at the truth about this new case.
The trouble is, there's nothing to tell, really. I was just walking along the pavement.
This is the part I have problem with so far, coincidentally. I don't think it was coincidental, especially if we can prove that her fiance slash boyfriend was there at the lodgings prior to that. What were you doing there that day, though?
What do you mean?
The art school you attend, what's it called?
Ah, yes, it's the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. According to Mr. Sholmes, that's just in the vicinity of Brixton Road, which is some 10 stops away from the scene on the Underground.
I believe you mentioned before that you also live on Brixton Road, isn't that right? So why then would you have been walking along Briar Road in the middle of the East End?
Well, it's because, oh, yes, of course. I thought it might make a nice picture.
The witness is a student of art. City-dwelling artists can't all paint grand, urban vistas.
That's right. I happen to like the crumbling look of that part of town. Perhaps quaint would have been a less grating term.
The point is, she's definitely hiding something.
Yes, it seems she's not going to be forthcoming with the truth.
If she's trying to hide why she was there that evening, it must mean there's a reason for her not wanting us to know. That's the key to this. And you, Mr. Shakespeare, on the evening of the incident 6 days ago, would you tell the court what exactly you were doing?
'Twould be my pleasure, sire.
Okay. A tavern, you say? Which one?
'Twas the Slug and Salad where I did tarry. 'Tis a jewel in the East End.
And a little unexpected, I feel. What do you mean, Lord Van Zeeks? The Slug and Salad offers unusually fine dining, for the locality at least. Not an establishment you would expect to be patronized by a man with not even a crumb of bread in his room.
It's true, the menu lists premium crusts of bread and glasses of water and different levels of cloudiness.
Why do you have that in that book? I would have expected Grubb's Grubbery in the local vicinity to be more appropriate for your means. Watery soup and mushy peas, or rather, soupy water and pea-like mush. All equally appetizing.
I just wanted to try some water at a different pub for once. What's wrong with that?
Water? How different can water really be?
Or perhaps there's a more plausible explanation. A specific reason why he had to go to that particular establishment.
Agreed. The fact that on that day of all days he dined at a place he wouldn't normally, it does stand out. So Mr. Shakespeare's own actions on the day of the incident 6 days ago were slightly suspicious. I wonder if we have some evidence that can explain those actions. I don't know, actually. I mean, that's a stretch. That's not evidence. Really. Huh. I don't think so at the moment. I wish we did, but sadly I can't think of anything at the moment. If we find a clue that could explain why Mr. Shamspeare went there, we must present it to the court. Yes, absolutely. If that is all in this matter, counsel, I would ask Miss Green to reiterate her next statement. First time I've been in the area. Little matter to attend to. What little matter, Miss Green? Please elaborate.
It was nothing, really. It's not worth mentioning.
If you remember, you mentioned it to us yesterday at... Oh yeah, she did. You mentioned it to us yesterday at the hospital.
Oh.
It was related to the card you were holding. Miss Green! What was that? She clearly just hid something behind her back. From memory, I believe the card contained a note that read, I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross.
What does that matter? This has nothing to do with Duncan.
So here we go. Mr. Shamspeare, do you have something to share with the court?
To be or not to be? That is the question. Ah, pray forgive me. The great bard's word springeth from within me, with ne'er a thought.
Don't tell me. It's because you're possessed by Shakespeare's spirit, right? No. He can't do that. He's not a member of the Fae Clan. Hearing Miss Green's words a moment ago seemed to make you think of something. Something of relevance, perhaps?
Well, nay, sire, 'twas nothing at all.
Presumably you know the name, though. Mr. Duncan Ross, I mean. After all, you were both lodgers in the same house.
I would it were so, but sadly nay. Lodging be a lonely occupation, sire. My lodging fellows be rarely known to me.
So you haven't heard of him, even though he passed away in the room just one floor above yours? Miss Green.
Me, my lord?
That's the wrong voice.
Me, my lord? Have I done something wrong?
I actually like that voice a little bit better. I'm going to go a little bit higher and a little bit Irish with it. The card that was mentioned before, containing the note, do you have it upon your person?
I do, yes, but I don't need it anymore. In fact, I should throw it away, really.
Before you dispose of it, the court will take it as evidence, please. Aha, we have the envelope now. Of course, that's what links Mr. Shamspeare and Miss Green. It's Duncan Ross. Now, continue with your testimony, please, Miss Green. Alright, so we'll press this, and then we'll go back and try and present evidence. Yes, you didn't regain consciousness until the day after the trial, did you? In the early hours.
Exactly. So how could I have anything to do with it? And yet, you still haunt me. You still haul me here to court like this. Honestly.
So at the time of the poisoning, the witness was unconscious in her hospital bed. Could there be a more airtight alibi, I ask you?
And yet, in spite of that, you claim I was the culprit?
Well,
But you certainly haven't produced any evidence to support your wild claim, have you? None at all.
There you have it. The good lady has yet to see evidence, my learned Nipponese friend. I'm working on it. Counsel, I will point out here that the jury's next decision will be final. We're really up against the wall here.
Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, you pursued Mr. Shamspeare wonderfully there.
It's worked out well, hasn't it? We have a new clue at last. Alright, now I need to pull off a really insightful objection somewhere.
Well, as you've managed to expose this promising new angle, I wonder if you should perhaps try to develop that.
Ah, yes, of course. And yelling out objections isn't necessarily the best way to do that, I suppose. It'll be fine. press this. Go on through this. I hope you guys can't hear me mashing the A button. But who knows? Okay. Alright. Present the evidence. Don't have to do that again, thankfully. Mr. Shamspear.
Yes, sire?
On the day in question, is it not the case that you visited the Slug and Salad, a place you don't normally patronize, for a very particular reason?
I don't know what you're talking about. Pray, if thou hast some purpose, speak'st.
Very well, I will present the court with evidence. Evidence that explains why you had to be at the Slug and Salad that day. Namely... Alright, let's read this real quick. Well, first we're going to check this. The envelope has been ripped open rather carelessly, hasn't it? Miss Green strikes me as the type to open correspondence more neatly than that. Ah, what is it? The way the envelope is torn, I'm almost sure I've seen that exact same shape somewhere else.
Oh, you don't mean... Were you thinking of this piece of evidence, Mr. Naruhodo?
Exactly, that's it. Try to match them up.
They go together perfectly. This torn off end of the envelope clearly belongs with this card.
Okay. So that gets updated. So we can pin her to the scene of the crime now. And now I want to... Oh, okay. That's all we can do. What's the note in the envelope, though? The envelope that contained the note to Miss Green and the torn off end we found together fit perfectly. Yes, there's no question. But that means something doesn't quite add up here, does it? Well, yeah, she had to have been at the scene of the crime, right? Something that explains why you had to be at the Slug and Salad that day. Well, first we're going to save, because I honestly don't have a clear idea. And then we're going to comb through the evidence here. We don't have, unfortunately we don't have the place marked on the map, so it can't be something with that. Why did he have to be at the Slug and Salad that day? I don't remember seeing anything with the Slug and Salad on it. Do you? It's so confusing. I don't know. Nothing there. That doesn't have anything. I don't think I have the evidence for this. I don't know why it had to be that day and that location. We honestly don't have what we need, I don't think. Well, unfortunately I can't figure out what evidence I need, so we're gonna end this episode off right here while I take time off camera to figure it out. And then when we come back, we will continue on with the trial. And I don't know if we're going to finish it in the next episode, probably next 2, but it'll be interesting. But before we end completely here, I did want to talk about the plans for the future after Great Ace Attorney. I don't have any plans for like any new games that are coming out in February, or just anything that I wanted to play on the channel in February that's new. But we did get an announcement that the new Kirby game, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, would be coming out on March 25th. And I am wholly interested in that. I've been a big Kirby fan ever since I was a kid, so definitely going to be playing that on the channel. So that's probably the first thing that's going to come out this year that I'm going to play on the channel. And then after that, it's going to be up between I, the Somnium Files 2 and Splatoon 3. I might just upload, some multiplayer gameplay videos of Splatoon 3 whenever I have them. Potentially just the story mode stuff for Splatoon 3 as well. We'll see how it goes. But that's going to be it for this one. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next episode where we figure out why the hell this man had to be at the Slug and Salad. See you guys then.